Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully this week we've got some different stuff for you. I know we've got some parts coming in. Hopefully get those in and get them ready for paint. Well, we also got this package in the mail today. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so braces are really nice shape. Have to sandblast and paint them. They are actually supposed to be painted. These, of course, somebody had to drill out of the Mustang that they came on, so I'm gonna have to do some getting that bend out of it, making sure I'm sure it's supposed to be a nice curve like that. So guys, today I'm going to work on trying to get these new braces and tabs straightened out so that I can get them welded back into the car. I'll use some different things to hammer them on to try to get the right curves and flatness and all that stuff. I use this a lot. This is like a counterweight that came off of a treadmill, believe it or not. It's a heavy duty piece of round steel, and I've used that thing lots and lots of times to get good right curves on metal that's been beat and bent. So what I have to do is try to get both sides to where they lay flat on these shock towers. So you can see this one's not real bad. It won't take long to get it, I don't think, but the other side's worse. So I'll beat around on them and we'll see how they look. Okay, so I've got these mostly beat back into shape. Here is the driver's side. That fits pretty good. And you can kind of see where the old original spot welds were. This other one was a little bit more of a pain. I've got it close. And these things aren't exactly the same on both sides either. So they made them a little bit different. And once I get, I'll have to get some bolts to stick in there just to mock it up to see, when I go over to the firewall back to this, I'll get all the bolts put in there, make sure it's going to line up right, and I might have to beat on it some more, but that's close for now. It's good enough to start sandblasting. So we'll sandblast those and the braces, and then we'll do some test fitting once I get some bolts, because I don't have the right size bolts to mock it up, and then we'll do that and weld the tabs on. Well, I hope and I think that is the last of the sandblasting I have to do.
Now where have I heard that before?
So there's the braces and the tabs blasted and ready for paint. And I think what I'm going to do, if you open the hood and you look at the engine, what are you going to see of the engine bay like that's in your face kind of? I think the shock towers really show up well. Those braces I just showed you, the shock tower tops, maybe these flat areas up here. I've sanded it all down with the 320, but there's still some areas that are just kind of rough from where it's like you can see some of the primer, and then all that area back in that corner, just kind of continue to finish cleaning that up a little bit, and then I need to get it outside and just wash it, get it all this dirt and sanding dust off of it. And then I also have to, before I do that, I need to do this little lip in here that I'm going to have to redo, get it scuffed up. I've got it all about as smooth as I can get it. It just seems like you're never done. You think you're finished in one spot and you'll find another spot, and it just goes on forever. So I think I'm done. What I'm going to do is push this thing outside, and I still found some areas that's got some like grease way back up in the behind all that stuff. And so I'm going to use a long brush on a rod and use some Dawn dish soap because I want to take grease out of my way.
Dawn dish soap, taking grease out of your way since 1973.
This is not a paid product placement for Dawn dish soap or any of its affiliates.
And get it all down in there, and I can just clean everything I can as well as I can. All right, I think that I got all of the grease and dirt the rest of the way out of this engine bay. Scrubbed all down in there. That's the hardest part, with toothbrush and every brush I could find to get all the nooks and crannies. And also went underneath the wheel well on the other side, underneath the battery box, and scrubbed all that so I can put the undercoating in there. So I'm gonna get an air hose and blow off whatever water's standing around on this so nothing rusts. And I'll pull this thing back into the garage. Okay, so it's the next day after we got the engine bay all washed and cleaned. Check this out. Look at all the surface rust that came back on the steering box and the master cylinder overnight.
Ooh.
So somehow I've got those two things were actually originally natural, like they weren't treated with anything. On the original 66, they weren't spray painted black or anything. They were just cast iron. So I got to figure out how to treat them to where they're not going to get surface rust on them again. A couple options are I can use the Manifold dressing. That's a really nice looking color. I don't know if it looks natural enough. And also I don't know if the heat, going through the manifold cures that stuff. Well, there's not going to be heat on the steering box or on the master cylinder, so I'm not sure how long it'll last. But I need to go ahead and get that surface rust back off with a Dremel. Either decide to do that, or I'm going to have to clear coat it or something. But I'll think some more about that. Alright, so all these lips and edges are done of the inside of the engine bay here. So what I'll do is order some primer that's especially for automotive uses. It'll work with any kind of paint. And I'm going to go in there and prime all these bare spots that I had to grind these down because those were where the bolts were and there was rust built up around all those. That's where the rubber pad was, and then the rest of these were all bolt holes. And if you ever wondered, these little triangular shaped things show that these are original 66 fenders. Reproduction ones didn't have those little triangular lifted spots. And plus there's a date code. Well, I got the car all washed and cleaned again. The engine bay is nice and shiny clean, and everything is ready to start taping, ready to prime prime and paint this lip. And then when I pulled it in, I remembered that I did not put filler in a couple spots that I needed to. I've got a spot here that needs a little filler, and these spots where I filled in these holes that there were with weld, I still need to fill those with some filler. Got a little low spot right here that I forgot about, and another one right here that I still need to finish. So there goes that. So let me go ahead and fill those and sand them, and hopefully I can sand them without having to rewash everything again, but it's highly doubtful. Now all the filler is finally done. It's time to begin masking and getting everything plastic put on it. Maybe even try to get some priming done tonight. Alright, this thing is taped. It worked pretty slick. I got this 3M plastic, and if you're using this, you got to make sure that that you can read that stamped 3M logo on there, because that's supposed to be on the outside. So it's made to where paint it will kind of grab onto the side and not go everywhere as bad. So you want the 3M stamp up. And so I just cut out the part I want to paint. And now I just need to wipe it down with wax and grease remover, and then I'll prime. All right, the sides I'm pretty happy with. Got them primed. I think they're ready for, after it dries, they'll be ready to be sanded. And then I got some bad spots up here I didn't see until after I put the first coat on there. I need to go back through and sand a little bit right here. Looks like I got a little ridge from body filler right there. So I got to go back and sand that and clean it again and then respray it. But I'll just leave everything where it is, and then tomorrow, after it's good and dry, I'll sand these side pieces and see if I need to do any more spray in there. I don't think I will. And then I'll sand that area up there and respray it. All right, guys, so our primer is done. And now I'm finally ready to shoot some red on there. So I'm going to get the paint mixed up, get some ventilation going in here, and get the pressure set right, and we'll shoot it. Okay, so I've got the red on, and I'm waiting for it to flash. It's supposed to flash about 20 minutes on the last coat. I put 3 coats on there, so we got about 4 or 5 minutes left. And then I'll shoot 2 coats of clear. Alright guys, we are done with the red. I'm going to let it dry for another few minutes, and then I'll start trying to get this tape off very, very, very carefully without getting my fingers in any good stuff. So no major mishaps with getting the tape off, and I'm pretty happy with it. It looks good, I think. So next I'll let it dry for probably a couple days because the next step is to, well, I'll let it dry till tomorrow, and then I'll start welding these tabs on. But before I tape any of the red, the new red, to get ready to start painting black, I'm going to let it dry a good long bit, so there's no way that tape can pull off any of the new clear coat. So at least one step out of the way, paint. Next, black. All right, so the next step is to get these braces, shock tower braces, welded on. Got that one mocked up there and clamped on. It's about ready to go ahead and weld in the spot welds. So I'll get that one done, and then I'll jump over and start on the other side. Then we'll take these bars right here back off so they won't be in the way of trying to tape and all that down in that corner, and we'll tape all that stuff and get ready to paint. Alright, so the braces are installed, welded in. I've just got bolts loosely stuck in there just to hold them up. So now what I'm going to do is go get a little filler and just smooth in those areas where I ground down the welds just to make it look good, and then sand those back down to smooth. And the next step will be to get it, make sure here, but I think it's going to be to get it back outside and wash it out again, just to make sure that it's totally clean. Then I'm going to start taping, like getting all the master cylinder and the steering box and just anything that doesn't get black tape on it. I need to go ahead and, or paint on it, I need to tape it off. Okay guys, this engine bay is clean. I've got all the spots filled where I did the spot welds there on both of the braces. And now it's time to get those main braces back off, get them out of my way, and time to start taping. Alright, all the plastic is on. Everything's taped up. Everything's covered. It doesn't get to be black. Have those hoses wired up so they don't get in my way when I'm trying to paint. So next thing is wipe everything down with wax and grease remover and hit some primer. Okay, we are primed. Some sort of primer on all of it now. I started with gray primer and I forgot I had some black primer to match that, so I went ahead and finished it in black, so that's why it's so flat. But it's all primed and we'll let it dry for a little bit and then we'll start in on the paint. Yeah, guys, I've got 2 coats of paint on there. I'm going to go ahead and throw a 3rd coat on. I'll let it dry just a little bit longer, and then hit that 3rd coat. We should be done. We can start untaping. Well, what do you think? I think the shine level's about right. That semi-flat. Only thing I've got really left to do, I think I'm going to go ahead and use that manifold dressing on the bare metal stuff, like the steering box and both of the brake pieces over there, the master cylinder and that other piece back in the back there, Kelsey Hayes. And the only other thing I've got left to do that has to do with paint is these pieces over here, the latch brace parts and the brace that goes over the firewall parts, which I'll hang up and do, and these motor mounts. I think I'm going to paint those, but I'll do that off camera. That's boring stuff. I'll just hang up in here and move the car out and paint it. And we'll let this cure for a few days, and I'll go ahead and treat those bare metal pieces with manifold dressing, and then we'll be getting close to, oh, one more thing I forgot, I have to do with paint. I got to do this red piece up here in front of the bumper, so I'll have to cover everything again up in the front and shoot this. This is all covered by this piece right here anyway, but I don't want it to be that bad. It had bare metal showing up in there, so I need to cover it, so paint it. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week, guys. Thanks for staying with me while I'm doing all this painting, and that should be it on the video anyway, what we got to paint. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Hopefully next week we'll get to start on some fun stuff like reassembly. After I get a few little paint things I've got to do, we'll start in with just putting in some like the battery box and a few other little things, and then we'll actually start getting ready to put the motor back in. And I've been looking forward to that for months now. So if you enjoyed the channel today, this week, just give us a thumbs up down below. We appreciate it. Share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. That's what makes our channel grow. Thanks.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.